Hello and welcome to Esports Update Weekly. I am Kevin Tagupa, and joining me is Christy Liu. How are you doing today? It's kind of sad that we can't hang out, but gaming and esports is one of the very few things that is pretty much keeping us all together. And Facebook is actually going to be one of the people who are going to be pushing for esports connectivity. Um, for example, they have launched a tournament organizing um, platform inside of Facebook. So, if anything, it's just going to allow for people to organize more esports tournaments among their friends and local tournaments. We don't know if there's any prizes or anything involved, but for the most part, it's just to get people together. Um, Christy, as a person who has organized tournaments, especially for like the Art U page and all the esports events that we have at the school is pretty much has to run through you and Wits. Um, what do you think of Facebook as an esports tournament organizer? And do you think it's going to be something that's going to replace Battlefy?
I think Battlefy is kind of concrete. It's going to be there for a long time because they've had so much experience doing it. People have they're comfortable with the UI, like this, how to use Battlefy and all that. So it'll be there for a long time. I think even with new things coming out, unless it's really, really, really good, I don't think we're going to switch yet.
Do you think that like more people will end up using this Facebook gaming just because it's more casual, or um, just because like we're in the esports scene, we're so used to seeing Battlefy as like
Mhm.
our go-to tournament organization. Um, do you think people are going to be trying to make more what is it, I don't want to say casual, but just like more local tournaments using Facebook just because it could hit a wider audience? Or do you still think that we're going to be us as like gamers are going to be using Battlefy? But do you think um, it'll transfer more people from Facebook to here or the other way around?
I think that we're definitely gonna see lots more tournaments coming up on Facebook just because it's a social platform and many more people use it than Battlefy. It's a bigger audience, as you said. So yeah, I think we can expect to see smaller tournaments coming up more often on Facebook than we would on Battlefy.
Or if these smaller companies starting up tournaments, because right now, because everybody is in lockdown, um, playing esports and just being a participant in esports is like the best time right now, because that is the one of the very few things that we can continue to do during this time. Moving from smaller esports to the bigger esports scene, ESPN is actually going to be airing the LCS Spring Split Finals, which we have been keeping tabs on here and there. But it's going to be showing the semifinals and finals matches this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. For the 18th, which is the Saturday, it is going to be FlyQuest versus Evil Geniuses. These two have been at the top of the LCS standings for a while, and then at the very top is Cloud9, and they will face whoever wins the Saturday match on Sunday. So um, LCS definitely has a lot of implications going into it. Um, Christy, you play a little bit of League of Legends. Are you familiar with any of these teams? And if so, like, do you think Cloud9 is going to just lock it down this year?
Um, I am a little bit familiar with them. I more so see the Asian teams making it to the finals, and I really only watch the finals, know what's up with the finals. So not too much NA teams that I know about. I just know Klein down there, but I know them more in the CS:GO scene.
Hmm. So yeah, this is, if anything, this just shows the transition of esports slowly moving into the sports realm now that COVID-19 is locking down all the physical like sports that you can play. So now that it comes down to us esports people, we have to bring the entertainment, essentially, bring the competitive nature to other audiences, and this is just one of the ways to go.
Yeah. And another way to go to the wider audience is what BMW is doing. So they actually partnered with leading esports teams like Cloud9, Fnatic, even in China with Fun Plus Phoenix, Germany with G2 Esports, and T1 in South Korea. So they're wanting to have a bigger expansion of their involvement in the computer, online, and simulation games in esports. So basically, what this means is they're not only going to act as a strong sponsor for the teams, but they're also acting as a powerful sponsor to get a larger discipline into the wider audience of esports. So what comes with this partnership is things like BMW is making custom designed cars like after each team with logos and colors to follow the teams. It's really cool seeing that they're having these new things.
If you were to pick up one of these cars, which one would you get out of the teams that are listed there? Um, yeah,
Probably Cloud9.
I don't know if I could rock the white and like light blue. That's just not
It's
my
not nice to you?
well, it's just not like my kind of style, you know? Like I
Okay, what
like
is your
T1s. I
style?
like T1s. I think they're nice, like color palette would nicely complement a car. Um, But yeah, honestly, I'm really glad that BMW is getting their hands in esports. If anything, it just shows that esports doesn't exist in a bubble, and people do want their hands um, in and to be involved in esports in a way,
Yeah.
especially with such like honestly great lineup teams like this. Most of them look like they do come from like either the League of Legends scenes or they're just really good. What is it? Organizations in general.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see these custom cars when they decide to come out.
Yeah, BMW is also making, you know how NASCAR is having their racing stuff and simulation
Mhm.
controllers or something like that? BMW is going to work towards that as well to improving it and
So they're
making their
gonna
own
improve
things.
the just like the simulations as
Yeah,
well.
that was one
Okay.
of their goals as well with the partnership.
I wonder if they're gonna start doing the thing where they build the actual car and then just have the whole rig system built around it. Um, I'm
I'm
totally
pretty
down to
sure
see
that's
that.
already a thing.
I know it's already a thing, but I want to
Yeah.
like see just imagine like everybody has a full on like camera of just their car. Um, in other news, moving on from the BMW stuff, Animal Crossing is currently one of the biggest games out there, but it has been shut down in China, and that is just due to the fact that there are customizable panels and lamps that you can have in Animal Crossing. And with that, a lot of the pro democracy groups in China have been creating their own like panels and things to criticize the government in a way. So
Mm,
China, in order to completely silence the message, they have shut down the Animal Crossing servers in China.
mm. Yeah, it is very free to do whatever you want in Animal Crossing. I can see that happening.
What do you think about like the government having a hand in, especially a big game so big as Animal Crossing, like just literally just shutting down the servers? Do you think that like it will turn people off from playing the game? Do you think it's going to affect sales, or do you still think people are going to pick it up anyways and try to play it?
I mean, people are going to look for ways around this for sure, but I feel like it could have been handled a bit differently than just shutting the whole thing down because it is a classic game that people have been going around for years and years and have enjoyed multiple occasions. So shutting down was a bit rough, but I think it was an emergency situation and last minute decision to do, which I think they're going to talk about it, hopefully, to get the servers back up because it is a game that people enjoy and everybody's on lockdown, so they need games.
Yeah, Animal Crossing is one of those few games where you can play alone.
Mhm.
It is like just farming and fishing and trying to make sure that your town and uh, everything around it thrives properly. But at the same time, once you have online play and you're hanging out with people, you can show off this kind of stuff. But that's half the fun of Animal Crossing is hanging out with friends and showing like, hey, I made this really cool panel. Hey, I made really cool art that I could hang in my museum. Stuff with this ban of Animal Crossing, it is going to affect the way how Nintendo distributes, um, because without the online play
Mm.
aspect of it, um, if it's only Animal Crossing, or if is it going to be like any online game that has like customizable panels or anything?
Uh, what do I think about that? I
Like,
think,
do you think like China is going to ban Minecraft? Like, if since people can you can make stuff in Minecraft, right? But if you were to
yeah, I
have
think
a
it
certain
just
thing,
depends on how people are using it. Like the whole reason why the server was dropped was because of how they were using it. So
so it's just
we'll
the
see.
use, and yeah, we'll
Yeah,
definitely see what they decide to do with it.
basically, yeah. But on a lighter note, have you heard of Hightail?
No, I have not.
So Hightail is from a company in Northern Ireland called Hypixel Studios. Any familiarity with that name?
Mm-mm.
No.
Hypixel, I've never heard of them.
Okay, so what's going on with Hypixel Studios and Riot is Riot just finished their acquisition with Hypixel Studios, which is the developer of Hytale. And what Hytale is, it's like kind of like Minecraft, but a bit nicer. I've never played Minecraft 2 in depth, but lightly touched upon it in like my Minecraft Lite on the iPad. But Hypixel, if you watched the trailer on YouTube, which has a million of views by the way, there is it's they feature like custom scripts, mods, and all these. You can basically do everything like Minecraft in Hypixel, just a bit more beautiful. Like it's a beautiful Minecraft, basically, essentially.
Is this like kind of the way how I know that art students do those? They do the cubes where it's like texture,
Mhm.
like this is a this is a cube of dirt, like this is a cube of grass. Like, is it gonna look like that? It's more like high texture, um, like
Yes, it's
pixel exploration.
in the trailer. I saw a cube of gold ore, and it was not just a flat cube. It was like a cube with some ore sticking out, which is that's one of the details you'll see in Hytale compared to Minecraft. And it's supposed to be a big thing because there's over 2.5 million people signed up for beta already.
I feel like that's just writing off of something that, like Minecraft and something like that, but it's just prettier in general. So, do you think that this is gonna be taking some of the audience from Minecraft and like Terraria and all those other, um, what is it? Essentially like city building, or you know, world exploration kind of games?
Um, I think we're looking at a middle ground with it, kind of like how Valorant is like, yeah, certain people like this kind of game,
Hmm.
basically. So it's not gonna steal everybody. It's just gonna be like, hey, it looks interesting. I'll jump to it. But it's still its own genre, kind of.
Yeah, I definitely I feel that. And yeah, if we're talking about more Riot games, you touched upon it.
Mhm.
Let's move into Valorant. Obviously, one of the bigger FPS titles that has come out literally in the past week. Blend the aspects of CS:GO and things that we enjoyed from CS:GO, with the ability powers that come from Overwatch. And your sound is enabled, and your kind of just leave the stream open. Um, but honestly, they are whitelisting a lot more um, accounts, so you could actually get in. We actually have a clip here from is it K-Rose's clip? Did we grab his? Oh, it's
It's
Kamikaze.
kamikaze.
Okay,
Yeah.
but So yeah, honestly, like it's just really tactical. I at first, honestly, it took me a lot of time to get used to, because I don't come from a CS:GO background. I don't have the tactical shooter aspect inside of my head. It's literally a one tap game. Christy, have you had your shot of Valorant yet? Have you been able to kick Kairos off of his account and at least get a couple games in?
I've been kind of scared almost to play Valorant just because of the skill level. Like, I know nothing about CSGO, I know nothing about Valorant, but I'll watch it. So, like, I don't know all these angles, how to throw my skills, my um, mollies, spokes, and all that. So, like, and I know you need that. It's essential for gameplay, and I feel like I'm gonna be dead weight. I'm gonna feed on my team and do nothing. So I'm kind of just scared of touching Valorant right now.
Hey, don't worry. I'm in the same boat right now. I know that our chats, we have like our group of friends have all of the Art U people. They're really good at CS:GO and like one tapping heads and stuff like that. But I'm pretty much dead weight. If you put me on the same team as like hey T-Cat and Kairos, I'm just gonna be there. I'll be the sage in the back. Just hey guys, you got shot. Here's some healing. I'll
You
res
won't
you.
even
I'll
shoot
res
the
you if
enemy.
it's clear. Okay, like that's my job. But playing at like the level that I'm at right now, I feel very comfortable, and there are a lot of very individual like things that you get used to finding. Um, it's kind of the same way how we studied maps in Overwatch, right? Like
Hmm.
we would go into custom lobbies and be like, I know you have probably firsthand experience of this of like anonades, right? Where
Yes.
you throw your nade like halfway across the map, and you're like, oh yeah, if I stand here and I point at the top and I throw my nade, it will go through the window, it will bank off the top of there, and then it will splash. It will get half the team anti-naded, the other team will be healed, and then I can push through. So it's just
Yeah.
like things like that that play into your head. Um, I've been trying to do the same thing in Valorant,
It's
and
hard. It's not as forgiving as Overwatch.
it's for sure not as forgiving. I
Yeah.
spent literally, I think it was 3 hours yesterday on Split, which is if you know the maps, it's the one with the really terrible like midsection where you can go to both A or B. It's got like ropes and rappels all over the place. Um,
Oh my
but
goodness.
I spent like a solid 3 hours on the one character I play,
Which
just
is?
which is Viper. I play Viper. Okay.
Okay.
But like I was like, okay, how can I bank my Molotov off the wall? How can I make sure that it gets this corner? How can I make sure that like um I can get the Molotov I want without getting peeked and stuff like
Hmm.
that. And then her wall can go over terrain, so as long as there's no skybox, you can just kind of throw it over the wall. So I've been practicing like cutoffs of that, but there are like intricacies when it comes to the maps, and we have that same kind of rollout, especially when it goes to Overwatch maps. Like when you're going on like Horizon Lunar Colony, do you go up the ramp? Do you go up the stairs? You go under the ladder? You go to the left? You TP straight to point? Like you have all of these different rollouts that you can do with your team, and it has those intricacies. So I'm really happy that we can take the time to learn it, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm willing to spend as many hours doing it.
You're gonna have to if you want to be good at Valorant. That's no argument
I just
there.
don't want to be dead weight, okay? I don't want to have a negative KD. I just want to make sure that like if I'm playing the game, I don't get one tapped and then just cry and just say like, "Oh yeah, he's in showers,
That
okay?
is
He's
why I don't play.
no, but like yeah, it is going to take it's going to get a lot of getting used to. It's very
Mhm.
difficult at first. And it was overwhelming for sure. I've been playing with my sister and her boyfriend, and they both come from CS:GO, so they're used to like one tapping and
So
clicking
you're
things.
getting carried,
I'm getting
basically.
carried in these games, and they're like, why are you so bad at this?" I'm like, "I know how to use my abilities, and that's it." They're like, "Wow, you need to like instead of spraying, you got to tap." You one
That's
of
the
the
Overwatch part of you.
yeah.
That
Uh,
my skills is my life, basically.
Yeah, and another thing that's really interesting, at least with this game, is you're a lot more accurate when you stand still. Which
Mm.
in Overwatch, you know the rule. If you're
You can't.
standing still, you're dead, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you have to peek around a corner, maybe hold for like half a second and then tap and then hope that you get the head. But honestly, it does take a lot of time to get used to.
Hmm.
But definitely don't dismiss it. Like Techie, if you want to join me and everyone else, we can definitely get that all set up. But
I don't know. Everybody had the key before me and then had practice, so
I mean,
I'm brand new. I don't know quite yet if I want to join.
it's okay. We're all brand new. We're all learning, and that's the fun of this game. Um, but honestly, if you guys want to watch some high level gameplay, Code Green Valorant tournament is going to be coming around for this Friday. First the first tournament, first organized tournament for Valorant. So we are going to have that coming up. Um, Another really interesting rule that is coming to Valorant is that you're not allowed to stream the blood on the broadcast. Um,
Interesting.
it is something that it is controversial in a way where it's like, oh yeah, you shouldn't show like gunplay and blood on screen. Um, but there currently are no negotiations in terms of like if you are going to stream a tournament, you have to turn it off.
Mm,
It's not a really big gameplay thing, but it kind of that is in the rules.
I see. I
Um,
mean, I guess it's a bit more family safer, so you have availability to a wider audience, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, you definitely have a wider audience. You can make sure that like, oh yeah, if there are like under like teens watching, you just be like, oh, it's just a tactical shooter. It's all good.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not
but
bloody.
yeah, it's not bloody, but I I know that like Mortal Kombat has been online or been on TV before, and I think they do the blood code thing there, where that you can't have blood there, um, and it's just like yeah, just interesting philosophies right now. You can't even broadcast it um, that way. Another interesting thing that I know that we've mentioned a little bit earlier. Um, Actually, you know what? We'll bring it up later. Um, in terms of gameplay, there was a little bit of a trick with Cypher, if anybody caught that. Essentially, like, there's one character who has like a security camera that you can like put up on the wall. Um, I know they took it out. I'm really glad that they did, but
I
like
know this trick.
you were able to give the camera a gun, and you can like shoot people through it as long as you don't get peeked and
You
killed
can kill
yourself.
people through your camera.
You,
It's
yeah,
insane.
it used to only be able to just shoot a tracking dart and just be like, "Oh, okay, he's there." But it was really funny to see that go around for a while. But at the same time, yeah, it was not fun to just be like, "Oh, okay, there's a camera there with a."
Beta, so you're gonna have these kind of exploits going around trending. But the game is, after a week of only being in beta, there's multiple online tournaments already revolving around Valorant, and it's crazy because also Riot has stated that they don't plan on hosting any professional esports leagues for the Valorant quite yet, but because they want it to happen organically through third parties and organizers.
Yeah, and I
But
honestly agree with that whole mentality. It's like you want to have the esports scene be excited enough to host it themselves. And then if you get to that point, then you can put your hand in and be like, okay, we like this a lot and we want to keep it going and have the support of the developers. Um, we've seen a lot of esports try to like take the leap and just make a league, but you need the involvement first before you can
of
even start it.
course, yeah. But with that being said, they also have a limit on these prized pools because it is through third parties. So the limit is for small pools, 10,000 dollars cash prizes and $100,000 annually within the year, while medium events are capped at 50,000 per event and 200,000 annually. So, and then Riot also stated that they might contribute to prize pools at the medium and major levels. So they're not quite completely out of it. They're still contributing some money, but they don't want to host any yet.
Yeah, and I think that's honestly the smartest way to go about it. You want people to be excited about your game first, and that will create the tournaments and create all the excitement um, for you. So you essentially don't have to build your esports scene; your community will do it for you.
Hmm.
Another thing that I want to mention, at least right now, this is what I was going to touch on. I'm bringing it back. The in-game client at the moment, it is still in beta, so obviously there are going to be some bugs,
Mhm.
but there is no overhead camera. So I know VFlight, uh, our friend from RU who does all the spectating, is probably rolling over and like in a fetal position, realizing, hey, I have no fly-through cam. I cannot see, certain things. So right now, the game only has first person like first person cameras. So you have to jump between each person. Um and especially right now, if we're trying to start up the esports scene, it might get confusing knowing, okay, who's the jet on this team? Who's is it the jet on this
Mm.
team? Is it Viper? Who is it Brim? Who's what, right?
So then
Um
what's the real importance of a fly cam for spectators in a
a, f-
tournament?
a fly camera is really important to kind of set the scene. It's like you get to see the play um essentially hatch and happen. So it's like with first person cameras, right? You
Mhm.
see like obviously like where they're aiming, where they're scoped in, what who are they focusing on. But the fly through camera and the overhead camera allows you to see what is their positioning. Why are they here? How are they rotating? How are they
Oh, so
taking the
basically
flight?
an establishing shot.
Yeah, it's like an
Oh, okay.
establishing like where they're going and how they're taking it. So in Overwatch League we have the fly through cams not only to show off the maps but also to show like the full team fight. Like you wouldn't in a team fight, you wouldn't just want to watch the Zarya's perspective or just the Forest perspective. You want to see, where's the Zarya throwing grab? Where's the Pharah perching? Where's the Earth Shatter? Why is the Reinhardt shielding the wrong way? Like all that stuff. You want to see everything unfold. And it's easier to see that with a fly through camera. Um,
Mm.
so honestly, Riot just has to figure out how they're going to do that. But once they get that underway, I'm pretty sure it's going to be something that a lot of people are going to be willing to watch. Even watching perspective cameras right now or watching other streamers play, it's still entertaining. So
Yeah.
um, it's just about clarity of the story is one thing that I'm mainly afraid of. But we could transition on from one FPS to the next. Um, all right. Uh, Hold on a second. We are going to take a quick break. We are having a couple technical difficulties. We'll be right back with our next story. Hop straight into it. Going from one FPS to the next, we're going to be talking about the Overwatch League. This is one thing that I keep tabs on a lot. I have to keep my hand in the pool. I have my own little podcast where I talk and dissect some of these matches. But we had 10 games this weekend. It was all on Saturday and Sunday. Um, and the hero bands this week were Diva, Reaper, Sombra, and Ana. Um, just by looking at the bands, Christy, what do you think the teams are attempting to run with these characters out?
Uh, thinking, still thinking. I think that we're gonna see a lot more brawly comps, actually. Now that you have Ana and Sombra and Reaper out of the picture, you're gonna have a lot longer fights going on. No EMP or hacks to cancel, no nades to stop healing. So you're gonna have lots of healing and lots of skills dishing out in one fight. So I think we're gonna see longer comps and more brawly comps.
And you were 100% right about that. We saw a lot of like really too strong. And we're not going to address that, but we're going to just give you some of the highlighted matches that I want to pick up on. The first and most important story is that the Vancouver Titans were playing in the Chinese servers this week and had a couple of really interesting games. One was up against the Charge in the first day, and then they had the Hunters the second day. They lost both of them. Uh, and I feel like it was due to the fact that they didn't have Hawksall. Hawksall, if you guys remember, was the rookie of the year last year. He was insane on the Doomfist. But they were running Somin Su and Stitch the entire game. Which I mean, that's kind of what they needed to do, but I was kind of confused, like, okay, why no Hawksall? It was one of the biggest questions. that I had.
They're looking for fresh blood.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, he's too good. He's too good. Not this week. I understand that like teams like the San Francisco Shock, um, bench like Sinatra for a week because they were like, oh yeah, he's not going to be as useful in this current meta in the hero pools. But some weeks like he'll just come out and just do exactly what he needed to do. So, um, yeah, I could understand if they're leaving Hawks off to the side, but it would have been nice to see him subbed in.
Mhm.
Moving on from those games, the Houston Outlaws actually had a really good weekend. They're looking a lot more organized in terms of their attacks as they were facing off against the Boston Uprising and the Toronto Defiant. The Boston Uprising obviously getting their roster gutted. They lost Swimmer and they lost Muffin because of the whole controversy. Um, and then on top of that, Toronto was probably one of the biggest surprises to me. But the Outlaws are looking a lot cleaner in their engagements. I feel like it's Muma on the right. Dallas Fuel had a good matchup against the Washington Justice. They are coming off of a huge losing streak. So I'm really glad that they're finding their footing as well. You cannot say that Decay is not there because he showed up for the Fuel. Very good for him. And then the Philadelphia Fusion had super long games. So if you guys did not watch any of the games, both of the Fusions matches went to 5 games. Is first to three, and they both were against the two bird teams, the red bird teams. So the Atlanta Rain and the Paris Eternal. Um, but they both the Fusion came out on top, 3-2 in both of those series. And then in terms of a more local match, we are from San Francisco, so we will cover the San Francisco Shock as they faced off against the LA Gladiators. This was kind of a revenge match because I believe 2 weeks ago they lost to both the Valiant uh, and the Gladiators. It was 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, um, but they weren't feeling it during that week. They said that like the scrims that they had were not necessarily good during the meta. Like they weren't really fitting it, but they were really getting into the groove this time around, and Super was the one who really pushed that forward. Um, but yeah, that is it for the recap for the Overwatch League. In terms of the hero bans for next week, um, by the way, these new hero bans are going to affect all levels of play. We have Widow, McCree, Reinhardt, and Brig banned. So, Techie, the question for you: are you playing this week?
Am I playing this week? Yes, I played yesterday and the day before yesterday when Echo came out. And Echo is crazy strong, and depending on who's playing her, she's crazy strong or crazy not doing anything.
Hey,
But then, yeah.
it's true. It's true though. Um, but yeah, with these bands, it feels weird. Honestly, we'll touch on Echo coming in. Um, but we'll in terms of the league, like Widow McCree means two of the biggest hit scans are gone, which in other words just means Echo's free to do whatever. Um,
Mhm.
and then with no Rhine, you have to play the Arissa Sigma. So it's just interesting this week. Um, Essentially we're going to be unified across all levels of play. This is something that they announced. So the competitive scene, Overwatch League, and contenders will all have the same pool. And then
Mhm.
also there's no map pool anymore. The only thing that they did is take out Paris and Horizon Lunar Colony because they're going to be reworking those.
That's an interesting choice coming from Blizzard, considering that people will actually dodge certain maps frequently, and it's frequently the same maps that are being dodged, like Paris, sometimes Horizon Lunar Con. It's not it, but it's not as bad as people dodging Paris.
Yeah, so that's probably the reason why they took that one out of the pool. They said that they are trying to rework. One of the main problem points was like the approach on point A. It is very punishing if you are the attacking side and don't have any way of like getting to that high ground in any
Yeah.
way. So there are a couple things that they are looking at in order to make it uh, more, I guess, attacker friendly in a way, at least on the first and second point ish. Um, but if we are still sticking on the terms of Overwatch League, Gregory was named one of Forbes Asia's 30 under 30 um, for 2020. But sadly, we didn't get to see her play at all. and I feel like she just needs some playtime, man. She's the only female in the Overwatch League, and she's currently just being benched every game.
Yeah, that's really too bad. I've had a chance to play with her, and she played ball on Lijiang Tower, and she was really good, like insanely good. Like I didn't have to heal her. She's finding her own heals, finding her own kills, getting her own picks. She's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm just really sad that like I don't get to see her play for the Dragons. I understand like if their roster is really strong, um, but honestly, like if you're not gonna play her, there's a ton of other teams that will pick her up. So
Hmm.
yeah, keep that in mind. But yeah, let's move on to the bigger topic of Overwatch for more of the people who aren't following the esports scene. Let's talk about Echo. So before we hop into the full dive, let's just take a quick introduction and look into Echo.
Neural network initialized. System reboot complete. Mission underway. Prioritizing combat functions.
Okay,
Got
so
you.
Echo is, as you see from the
Executing
trailer
flight
here,
maneuvers.
is a very vertical hero.
Target
Gets up in the air,
destroyed.
has a lot of damage. So like,
Situation is
I don't know how
under
to
control.
explain it. She's just like
Beam activated.
got a lot of damage.
Next
Like
target.
Kate is not gonna save that.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
But really, right now,
Duplicating
got
Genji. Honor.
essentially a beam that
Oh,
puts you down. It does more damage if you're below half
Averting
HP.
personality.
She's got the
Echo
sticky bombs that
online.
do 150 damage. They all land on you. She's got her 3 fingers that just shoot little, baby beams. But the most important thing is her ultimate, which is duplicate. Allows you to copy one of your opponent's characters and play them for 15 seconds.
Yeah, and in
Um,
the right hands, it's super strong. You can turn the tides of any fight whenever you want, by the way, which is where the line is drawn between the two players, like I mentioned earlier, really good ones, or the you're not helping us very much. You
yeah,
copy the wrong person.
yeah. It's kind of unfortunate sometimes when you're just like, I have a person that I want to copy, and then you just copy the healer behind them, and you're like, okay, I guess I'm a Zenyatta now. Like that's okay. But
Time to frag.
time to pop off, I guess. But honestly, I want to talk about one of the things that happened was there was a leak of a contender skin for Echo, which would have been really cool and a cool way to promote the tier 2 scene, but it was pulled before it was able to go live. Um, in terms of that, Techie, have you looked at any of the skins for Echo? And if so, what is your favorite?
My favorite is the butterfly one. My only peeve would be her head. It looks like an egg, like a really weird egg.
You're
So, but
roasting.
I like her the
She's not even
wings.
out for that long, and you're already roasting her. She's only 2 days old, and you're
I
like,
mean,
yo,
if
her.
you saw her head, you'd be like, "That's kind of funky looking bug egg on your head." But then
It,
that's what it looks like, which
yeah,
could be what they're going for. Yeah.
yeah. I could understand that. For me, I personally like the hot rod skin, just because it is a full reference to Iron Man. If you look at the way how the faceplate is yellow, the whole color scheme is, hot rod red. It is supposed to replicate the same way how Tony Stark um, puts on the armor and looks like Iron Man. Um, but is there any thoughts on the playstyle? Once again, I know you've mentioned like you have good echoes and bad echoes. Is there anything that like you want to either talk about or praise about her kit, or just completely shut down?
I think if you're gonna play Echo and you want to play her well, you have to have a very good game sense. Echo is not an aiming character. She's a flexible character that really shows off your game sense if you know what you're doing with her.
Yeah, I totally agree. Game sense does come down to the way how you play the game itself. And you have to have like a billion IQ to play Echo, not gonna lie. Yes, you can just do beams, shoot some sticky bombs, and hope that you get everybody. But when it comes to duplicate and figuring out like, oh, what's the proper position for this, it's insane. I definitely want to talk to the person who thought, hey, when Echo do, focus beam, it should do 200 HP of damage per second when they're under 50 HP. I'm like, come on, I understand like cleaning up targets, but like a lot of HP like that in half a second, like if you get touched, you're dead. Like it's it's not fun.
But 1 second is kind of long in any FPS. So me, I kind of stand by. I'm kind of okay with it for now.
I just don't like getting fragged from like halfway across the map, man. It's it's not fun. Especially as a tank player. If anything, it gives me like inadvertent stress just because I'm like, if I don't take care of Echo or look at where she's gonna copy me, and then before you know it, they have 3 Earth Shatters hitting your entire team, and
Yeah.
you're just there like, okay, I can't block all of that. But yeah, I'm glad that like it does take a high IQ to play it, but it's gonna be kind of insane.
Yeah. So moving on, TSM is actually making their a new facility that's expected to rival or even surpass 100 Thieves. Yeah. So let's take a look at the video to see what TSM has in store for us.
25,000 square feet.
Watch parties, tailgates, LAN parties, events here.
I'm talking real big, baby! The largest esports gaming facility in the West. This space is really going to change it up.
So TSM's has their facility based in Los Angeles, and while 100 Thieves has spent $35 million, 100 Thieves plans to spend $50 million on this facility. Oh, TSM plans 50 million, my bad, sorry.
But yeah,
So,
honestly, this is just like a head-to-head competition at this point. Like, we saw 100 Thieves, and they were technically the first facility that had something that's just dedicated to esports, and it's honestly like a very cool facility. I was lucky enough to watch the room tours. Offline TV is there all the time, so it's cool
mhm,
to see their tours of the place. But it's cool to see what they have to offer. But TSM is willing to drop 50 million to create another one and become the largest esports center ever created in North America. It's just a matter of time before somebody else is just like, oh yeah, well you put in 50 million, I'm gonna go slightly bigger.
that's
I'm
how
just
it
gonna
goes.
That's just
Yeah.
how it is. But yeah, once again, they are in LA.
Yeah.
Both of them are in LA, so that is currently the place to go if you're gonna try to get a look at all of this.
Yep. And the interesting parts of the TSM facility is their fitness gym, the Lenovo Lounge, the merch store, wellness center, open office space, which is just like you have all of this environment around you in your office. There's also a players cafe, multiple scrim rooms, coaching rooms, which you need for like esports. There's an outdoor event space, so it's sounding like they're going to invite people over to see it. There's a TSM stage, a kitchen, and meeting room. And then have you heard of I forgot what it's called, but you sit in this tub of water and you lose all of your senses.
Oh yeah, extrasensory like the
Yeah,
deprivation
that.
chamber. Yeah.
Yeah, the tankers. Yeah. So they're gonna have that too. And in the video, you'll see Myth ask, "Oh, where's my pool?" And then Lena said, "Well, you can just sit in the deprivation tank for a while. That's your pool."
I mean, I guess you can't swim in that, but I guess you can float calmly in it. Um, but honestly, I'm really glad that a lot more of these teams are willing to build a facility like this.
Mhm,
It just proves that they're willing to, invest a lot more in. And if anything, it also helps out other teams that might want to participate in it as well. You have, scrim rooms and coaching rooms, which are really important. Just setting up local tournaments, getting people together, and teaching the sport that they really want to push forward. Moving on, we're going to be talking about some of the new equipment. This is going to be one of our recurring segments on this show. Last week we talked about monitors and how important it is for your refresh rate. This week we're going to be talking about capture cards, and capture cards are kind of a weird topic, but I definitely love capture cards. But I'm going to talk about pretty much the following things that we need to focus on when picking a capture card.
So
Um,
what is a capture card? Like, I don't have a capture card. Do I
okay,
need that?
it depends on what you're gaming on and what you're using it for. So, the purpose of a capture card is to capture an HDMI signal in. So that could either be a console, or a new or a camera if you want to, or um, another PC if you want to mirror a screen. Um, that is the main purposes of it. The other aspects that we're going to focus on is like obviously resolution. What size you need your thing to be, the frame rate, and then if it's internal or external. Um, so the first,
Why would I
so
want to capture like that content for? Like, what is the main point of it?
the main purpose of it is for either live streaming or recording. Most of the time, you want to capture some form of your screen, or your gameplay so that you could broadcast it live, to everyone, or to use it for your own little highlight reel. um, so the first one that we're going to talk about is the most affordable on this list. It is the Razer Ripsaw. It is an external capture card, um, produced by Razer. It captures in HD 1080p, 60 frames per second, which is pretty standard for a lot of games. It has 4K pass through, which means that if you're putting in the HDMI, the one that you plug back into your TV is going to be, you know, just beautiful. It's going to have a nice image, and it's going to be a quick pass through as well. There's no latency between that. It plugs in via USB 3, so it goes straight into, like a USB slot in your computer. It's nice and portable, so if you are bringing it between different places, you have that option. Um, the only thing that external capture cards have an issue with is the USB 3. Sometimes you plug it in and then like your leg accidentally swings and kicks it out. Um, the connectivity between the thing and the computer could be off. But honestly, it is a great thing. But honestly, it does sit it sits at $180, which is really affordable for a capture card. Um, it literally just sits right here. Let me see. It's right. I have mine. Mine's right here on top of my PC tower. It just sits here, and captures my PS4. That's what I use to capture my gameplay when I do that. The next one, we're gonna go internal now. We're gonna talk about the 4K 60 Pro Mark II. Um, what we mean by internal, it means that you have to put it into the actual motherboard of your PC, and that has 4K 60. It records at 4K, 60 frames per second. Um, there was a Mark One, and it was like thick. It was big. It's like half the size of a graphics card. If you guys know how big that is, it's
That is
like
huge.
it was huge. Um, but now it is, slimmed down and small, and it's way more affordable. It used to be $400. It now sits at $250. Which is really nice. The only downside about that is you can't bring it around to places. It is in your computer, so you have to make sure that it stays there. Um, and you can use it for that. Um, we are going to be talking about the last one. It's so brand new that we actually don't have like a reference for it yet. Um, it is the 4K 60S Plus. They totally didn't just go 4K 60S or 4K 60 Plus. They're just like, we have to put both of them on it. So the 4K
The
60S Plus is an external hard drive or an external capture card, that has zero lag pass through. So when it goes in, it goes out 4K 60 frames. But the most important part of this is that it records to an SD card, and it's portable. So what we think that people are going to be using this for is when you go to an esports tournament. Let's say if you go to a LAN or like a cafe or something, um, and you and your team wants to like, it's not being broadcasted to Twitch. You want to have the raw file for yourself and you want to watch the game.
Mhm.
Um, with this, you can bring it to a tournament, plug it right into the computer and record to the SD card. You don't have to have anything else. It just records to the card. And then when you're done, you just bring it home, plug the card back into your computer, and yeah, you have all your footage from the whole day. I feel like this is going to be a really popular choice with people who are on the go, either professionals who are streaming their gameplay or going to constant esports tournaments. Um, and it just gives them the option. The only thing that we have seen issues with this card, at least, um, is that the SD port in it doesn't count as a card reader, so you can't plug it in and read it. You have to have a separate SD card reader. It's kind of weird that way, but um, yeah, it is really cool, but it does sit at a hefty price point of $400. Um, so, Christy, I know that you have a Switch, um, or I know the Kairos has a Switch. You can bother him for his, but if you were to try to stream your gameplay, which one of these looks like the most nice option for you?
The cheapest one.
I yeah,
Honestly.
the current price, like right now, we're all not getting out there, or if we're not an essential worker, we're essentially not getting money. But yeah, the Ripsaw is honestly like a really fun card for me. I'm leaning more towards the $250 Mark II because I like my capture cards inside of my computer. Um, I have a very bad tendency of swinging my leg when I play my games. So in the middle of my gameplay, I'll be like getting really into it, and then I'll accidentally unplug my thing, and then everybody's like, "Kevin, the it froze, it froze." I'm like, "Oh, whoops, sorry guys."
Are you gonna be streaming this week with your external capture card?
I definitely want to. I have Persona 4 sitting right next to me, or Persona 5 Royal, and I am almost heading towards the second palace. So I'm going to be getting to that hopefully pretty soon. Um, but yeah, let's take a look at the video real quick with the 4K 60s plus. 4K 60s plus. All right, and yeah, that is pretty much it. That was the 4K 60s plus, and as you saw in the video, it's very portable. You could bring it around a friend's house, capture your own gameplay, and then also bring it to tournaments. So I feel like, once again, if you see a lot of our like professional streamers going around with a box, just know that they're just plugging it in to record their footage.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, and any other last words you want to give in terms of capture cards, Christy?
Mm, they're really expensive. I don't think I'd be getting one anytime soon.
Yeah,
But
it really does
yeah.
depend on like if you are going to do console gaming and other stuff like that, or two PC setups. But yeah, just keep in mind there are a lot of them on the market. Um, and yeah, Elgato nicely gave us that trailer that we can use. And Razer also has a couple of really solid capture cards as well. Um, that is going to wrap it up for Esports Update Weekly. Chrissy, do you have any plans for this weekend? Are you going to do anything? Are you going to uh, play more games? Is there anything on your to-do list?
I'm actually catching up on all of my schoolwork. So hopefully I'll have a bit more free time to do some other work, other portfolio stuff. Just work on a lot of things. I feel like this is a productive week coming in.
Yay, productivity.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, I I'm a non-essential worker, so I don't really have a lot going on. But one thing that I am looking forward to is my cooking streams that I do every Saturday. Um, I know that a couple people do tune in to see that. We're doing breakfast sliders this week. We're
Ooh.
doing we're gonna take a little bit of reference from you, Christy. We're going full Hawaiian with this. It's
Oh.
spam, eggs, spinach, mushroom with gravy over it. So it's a loco moco on the inside, and then we're doing a garlic butter on top with a little bit of furikake on top. So it's gonna
Are
have a
you
crispy
making your
butter.
own gravy for this recipe?
Sure.
I can give you my dark gravy recipe. It actually
uh,
came out really good. I found one online.
All right, that sounds like a plan. But thank you everybody for tuning in. If you like this pilot episode of Esports Update Weekly, make sure to hit the follow button, so that whenever we go live, you guys can actually get the notification. And yeah, we will be back next Thursday. And yeah, that'll be it for Esports Update Weekly. I'm Kevin Tagupa. That's Christy Liu.
Thanks for
Uh,
tuning in to the first pilot episode.
yeah. And yeah, we will see you guys next week.